Killer's mother. At night when Rameshwari slept, what dream does she see? That Vinod has killed an officer and has disappeared somewhere. The police are searching for him, beating up innocent people, and the entire city is in chaos and unrest. In this anxiety, she woke up. She saw that Vinod was sleeping. She got up and went near Vinod. She started lovingly stroking his head and thought, what a baseless dream I saw. She became a bit worried too. She lay back down, but sleep didn't come. A fear had settled in her heart. In the morning, seeing his mother worried, Vinod asked, Mother, why are you upset today? The mother, looking at Vinod with eyes full of love, said, Son, what should I tell you? Last night I had a very bad dream, as if you had killed an officer and run away, and innocent people were being beaten. Vinod laughed and said, Did you want me to get caught? The mother said, I wish you never went near such things. Why should there even be a question of getting caught? It's our duty to live and let others live. Living by killing others is against my religion. Vinod replied, This is not the time for religion and ethics. The mother said, Religion and ethics have always won and will continue to win. Freedom is not achieved through killing and bloodshed, it is gained through sacrifice, penance, and self-purification. People don't abandon greed, they don't leave bad desires, they don't look at their own evils, yet they claim they want freedom. Understand this, the freedom that will be gained through killing and bloodshed will only be sustained by bloodshed and killings. The freedom gained by the efforts of the people will belong to the country, it will belong to the people, and a small group of men won't manage it with the power of the sword. We want the people's freedom, not the freedom of a group with the power of killing and bloodshed. Vinod said, You should be on stage giving speeches. Who's going to listen here? The mother said, Son, you laugh, but my heart is sorrowful. For days, my right eye has been twitching. Surely, some misfortune is about to come. Vinod said, I'm not afraid of misfortune. What luxury are we enjoying now that we should be afraid of it? Saying this, Vinod left. That morning, Vinod's whereabouts were unknown. No one knew where he had gone. At first, Rameshwari thought he might be at the Congress office, but when 1 p.m. came and he still hadn't returned, she got worried. He never stayed out after 10 a.m. Then she thought, maybe he went out for some work. The previous night's dream started to disturb and trouble her, and with time, her anxiety grew. When evening came, she couldn't take it anymore. She went to the Congress office. Upon inquiring there, she found out that Vinod hadn't come even once since the morning. Rameshwari's heart became troubled by an unknown fear, and the dream began to feel real and terrifying to her. She stood there, silent and senseless, for some time. Then the thought came to her, maybe he went home. She immediately returned home, but there was still no sign of Vinod. The darker it got, the more her life seemed to dry up. On top of that, her right eye kept twitching. Her thoughts became even more terrifying. There was no deity left to whom she hadn't made a vow. Sometimes she would sit in the courtyard, sometimes she would stand at the door. Her heart was like a scared bird that sometimes sat in the nest and sometimes flew to the branch. Who cared about cooking? She kept thinking, Oh God, what sin have I committed that you are punishing me? If I made a mistake, forgive me. I am already suffering myself. I can't bear it any longer. Rameshwari held her head in her hands and began to cry. Dark clouds had gathered in the sky. Tiny drops of rain were falling. It felt as if there was no one to cry with her, and the rain was offering her company. It was past midnight. Rameshwari was still standing at the door, watching for Vinod. Just then, someone came running very fast and stood at the door. He had a black blanket over him, covering his face so that most of it was hidden. Rameshwari asked fearfully, Who is it? It was Vinod. He quickly entered the house and told his mother to close the door. Then, he went to the courtyard and put the blanket down, asking for food. Rameshwari asked nervously, Where were you all day today? I've been looking for you all day. Vinod came closer and said, I went for a very important task and now I must leave again. I came just to tell you that for the next 2 or 4 months, I won't be able to stay here. There's nothing to fear. I've done what I considered my duty. To save my life, I must escape from here. Darkness fell over Rameshwari's eyes. She said, "Why, son? You did what I feared. Why did God take away your wisdom?" Vinod said, "Neither did God take away my wisdom, nor has any calamity befallen me. I have killed an officer in the cantonment. I aimed so well that with one bullet, he was dead. He didn't even move. Were there no others there?" "No, there was complete silence." "The police must have found out?" "Yes, several people have been arrested. I escaped cleanly." Rameshwari's condition changed. The love-filled tears in her eyes turned into angry redness. She said, "I don't call this an escape, where the criminal runs away and the innocent suffer. You are a murderer. If I had known I would give birth to such a son, I would have strangled you at birth. If you are a man, go to court and confess your crime, otherwise, the blood of those innocents will also be on your hands." Hearing this scolding, Vinod became angry. He said, "I am not a murderer just because you say so. Other people do the same thing and become leaders. They are praised. People worship them. When I do it, I become a killer?" Rameshwari said, "You are a killer, and those who kill others are all killers. I, being your mother, am also a part of this sin. Even my face has been blackened. Leaders are those who die for others. Those who protect others are the true heroes. Their birth is blessed, and their mothers are lucky. Don't you feel ashamed that you are boasting after killing?" Vinod picked up the blanket again and said, "If you weren't my mother, I would have finished you off right now. I will never see your face again." Saying this, he stormed out of the house. A moment later, Rameshwari, also in a frenzy, left the house. Even if he is her son, she cannot tolerate this injustice. She would go to the police station right now and report the murder. It would be better for Vinod to be hanged than for innocents to be hanged. But after walking a little distance, her heart became restless. She turned back and came home, crying bitterly. The son she had raised through such hardships, could she really have him hanged? But then she thought, those innocent people must also have mothers who love their sons just as much. No, she couldn't allow this injustice. She would rather lose her son than let innocent people die. Rameshwari was stuck in this dilemma. When no solution seemed in sight, she began to cry. Then she thought, why not kill herself and be freed from all suffering? But even her death wouldn't save those innocent lives. It wouldn't calm the hearts of those mothers. They wouldn't be freed from the sin. She suddenly said to herself, no matter what, I won't let the blood of innocents be spilled. I'll go to court and clearly state that I am guilty because my son committed this murder. We are both guilty. Give both of us the death penalty. I won't abandon my duty, even if they tear Vinod apart in front of my eyes. Yes, I will watch him be hanged with my own eyes because I gave birth to him. Oh God, give me the strength to stand firm in my duty. I am weak, I am a sinner, I am a murderer." Rameshwari fainted and collapsed. When Rameshwari regained consciousness, her resolve was firm, but her heart was in deep pain. Did she give birth to her son just for this? Did she raise him only to one day see him hanged? Vinod was the support of her life. Today, her connection with Vinod was breaking. Vinod's face kept appearing before her eyes. Once, she used to cradle him in her arms, enduring great hardships yet feeling happy. Today, she was going to have him hanged. Vinod's books and clothes were kept in the room. She held each item to her chest. Oh, how difficult is the path of duty. Her heart longed to embrace Vinod one last time and kiss him goodbye. Does a mother stop loving her son when punishing him? Rameshwari was going to punish Vinod, filled with love. A week passed. The police uncovered the conspiracy. 10 young men from the city were arrested. One of them became a state witness, and a case was filed in the magistrate's court. There had been no news of Vinod since that day. Rameshwari was like a boat tossed between duty and love, with a stormy sky above and a stormy sea below. At times, duty would strengthen her heart, at other times, love would weaken it. But as the days passed, duty began to lose. New arguments kept weakening her sense of duty. When everything happens according to God's will, this too must be His will. This was her strongest argument. In these 7 days, she had survived only on water, and even that water came out through her tears. She had become like someone who had been ill for years. It was 10 o'clock. She was heading toward the Congress office. Every day at this time, she would come here to find out about Vinod. Suddenly, she saw 9 or 10 young men in handcuffs, being led by a dozen armed policemen. A little distance behind them, some men and women were walking slowly with bowed heads, looking like pictures of grief and despair. Rameshwari ran to a policeman and asked, "Are these congressmen?" The policeman replied, "Who else would kill the English except congressmen?" Who was killed? A police sergeant, murdered by all of them. It's been 8 days now. Congressmen don't commit murder. If they are innocent, they'll be acquitted. Rameshwari stood there for a moment. Then she followed behind those people, walking toward the courthouse. Duty regained new strength. No, she wouldn't let so many innocent young men be led to their deaths. She wouldn't let so many innocent lives be lost to save her murderous son. The courthouse was crowded. Rameshwari asked an orderly, "Has the judge arrived?" He replied, "Not yet, but he should be here soon." They take a long time to arrive, don't they? It must be 12 o'clock by now. The orderly, irritated, said, "What, is he your servant, that he should come and sit down whenever you please? He's the king, he'll come when he wishes." Rameshwari fell silent. Nearby, several women were sitting. One of them asked, "Sister, has a boy from your house been arrested too?" Rameshwari, lost in her thoughts, didn't respond. The woman asked again, "What can I say? Who knows which wicked person committed the murder? He has hidden himself after staining his face with shame, and we are left to suffer." Several women were crying. Rameshwari began to cry too. An old woman tried to comfort her, "Sister, be quiet. Whatever is written in our fate will happen. My son has been arrested, completely innocent. He used to work for Congress. Who from your family has been arrested?" Rameshwari didn't respond to her either. She kept asking people repeatedly, "When will the judge arrive?" At 2 o'clock, the judge's car arrived. The courtroom was in an uproar. As soon as the judge took his seat, the prosecutor presented the murder case. The police officers arrived. The accused were brought forward. At that very moment, Rameshwari stepped forward in the courtroom, saluted, and said in clear words, "Your Honor. Before this case is presented, I want to say something." Everyone turned to look at her in amazement. The room fell silent. The judge looked at her sharply and asked, "What is it?" Rameshwari said, "I've come before you to tell the truth about this case. My son is the one who killed the sergeant. These accused are all innocent." The judge, shocked, asked, "Are you in your senses?" Rameshwari replied, "I am in my senses, and I am telling the truth. My son killed the sergeant. His name is Vinod Bihari. There is a photo of him in my house. He has been missing since that day. I am in my senses. I have no enmity with my son. I love him just as much as any widow loves her only son. A week ago, he was my everything, but when he committed this murder despite all my warnings, I understood that I had no son. I will not let so many homes be destroyed to save his life. These sisters also love their children just as much. I don't want to keep my child while making others childless. I've told you the truth. Justice is in your hands." The room was in chaos. Men and women surrounded Rameshwari from all sides. Many women lay at her feet, crying. In their happiness, no one thought about what this unfortunate woman was going through. She stood there senseless, unable to see or hear anything. Only Vinod's face was before her eyes. Suddenly, a man emerged from the crowd, came up to Rameshwari, and plunged a dagger into her chest. Rameshwari screamed and fell to the ground, looking at the attacker's face. She gasped in shock and said, "Oh, it's you, Vinod." 2 tears fell from her eyes, and her eyes closed forever.